I need to just stay here for a while because I'm like synapses of fire. The synapses are firing. This is on Imagination with the Healing Guy with the Healing Garden, and the synapses are firing. All right, so I'm like writing up this course and I'm plugging it all in, and I just one moment after the other I'm realizing that there is the delusion mindset. We're going to talk a lot on the delusion mindset, and then there is the logic. There's the logical mindset and the logical nature mindset. And there are definitions that come out of each mindset. The delusion mindset has their definitions, and then the logical nature mindset has their definition, two completely different worlds. And in the delusion mindset, one of the things that we see a lot about is two opposing sides, is the word dichotomy. Dichotomy, two opposing sides that are separated due to an intolerance of differences. This is also known as prejudice and segregation. And I was sitting here putting this course together, and I realized that what that is projected fear of fear onto others. It is literally, we are so afraid on a deep intuitive level of fear, and the fear, it's literally fear of not A, that we have projected. Prejudice, this is what I'm trying to say, is prejudice is caused by the projected fear. Oh my God, this is the first fear. This is the first fear. The first fear is fear of not A. It's amazing. The first fear is fear of not A. That's it. And not A is an absence of love. That's all it is. But we don't know this. This is so deeply instinctive to us that we just have this fear of not A. And when we see something that is not A, that is so deeply ingrained into our very first instinct. It is the first instinct. It is the first instinct to literally not have A. That is our very first instinct, to not have A. I'm going to be blunt. If you want to be a psychologist when you grow up, you are going to have to study physics, ontology, and quantum physics. Mandatory. Because this is it. And this is only found in quantum. You have to take quantum physics. You have to take quantum physics, and you have to merge it with ontology, and you need Pythagorean psychology. That is the happy cocktail to get this understanding. So what you are looking at is basically the first instinct, the first fear is to have A and to avoid not A. But we don't understand this. We've lost this understanding. This is the result of, this is the consequence of lost comprehension. When you lose comprehension, you are left with instincts that you can't define, cannot be defined. So then what that ends up resulting into is literally prejudice and segregation. It becomes an intolerance of dichotomy, an intolerance of being opposed to, or an intolerance of not A. And you project that fear of not A, projected fear of not A onto others. So you have A, white, and not A would be black. Boom, there's your prejudice. Let's change it. So man, A, okay, not A, woman. There you go, there's your prejudice. But that is not at all where you're supposed to be directing that fear. And as a result, because we are unaware of this, instinctively, we're all afraid of the same thing. We are terrified of not A. And when we are not actually addressing the fear of not A, we project the fear of not A onto race, gender, age, culture. You name it, this is it. It is a projected fear of not A onto anything else. This is what causes prejudice. To end prejudice and segregation, what you need to do is internalize the fear of not A. You have to have an understanding of not A. Now, here's the irony, because good fucking, I love irony. The irony of this is that you are not going to have security. You are going to actually develop not A. You develop not A by not educating yourself about not A. And as a result, the fear of not A grows into not A. That's it. The fear of not A is not A. That's it right there. The fear of not A is not A. And this is the first catch-22. You don't fix this and it spirals. It spirals into pure consumption and devouring. It becomes pure consumption and devouring. I have to look up the word devouring because there's just no other word for this. Devour. I'm reminded of the Leviathans in Supernatural, where they eat each other. Self-consumption. To eat up greedily or hungrily, devoured everything on his plate, to use up or destroy as if by eating. It eats it. This is beautiful. Let's look up consumption. Consumption. The act of using, eating, or drinking something, or the amount that is used. Consumption. It's literally death by consumption. Another example of consumption is, and we're going to call it consumption, and this is it. It's the disease of consumption. It's absolutely a mindset disease. And the mindset disease of consumption is actually, it leads to possession. Now that makes sense. So consumption leads to this logic. I love living at the point of comprehension. So you have consumption, and that leads to possession, and that leads to narcissism. And that's it. You literally, and it starts with fear of not A, which actually is not the catalyst, because the catalyst is always invisible. So the real catalyst is a lack of education of not A, which leads to, you know what? Which means the actual catalyst is ignorance. Ignorance leads to a lack of education of not A, leads to fear of not A, leads to consumption, leads to the disease, mindset disease, which I like to call the delusion mindset, which leads to possession, which leads to narcissism, and that is where narcissism comes from. There it is. So we need to talk about not A. We are going to be spending a lot of time on not A. Not A literally is a lack of not. It is literally not ethically moving forward. That is what it is. Ethically moving forward has another name for it, but not ethically moving forward is not A. A is a force called ethically moving forward. Another word for this is growth, which is another word for this is nurturing, which another word for that is love. We are talking about the dichotomy of good and evil, love versus not love. Not love is fear. That's all it is. Not love is fear. Fear is just not love. Fear leads to a pure state of nothing due to consumption. This is logically gorgeous, where it just keeps cycling over. This is not paradox. This is not at all paradox. This is called just pure, perfect logic and math. This is gorgeous. So fear leads to a pure state of nothing due to consumption, which leads to a black hole. A black hole . everywhere you see a black hole, it is a society that became, it is a universe that became consumed by not A. And ... the birth of a universe is love. The concept of romantic love that people think it is actually a delusion mindset definition. They do not, that is what people with fear are trying to explain that love is. They don't know. If you want to know what love feels like, trees, nature. Nature is composed 100% out of the love force, which is why we gravitate toward it, which is why when we stand in nature, we feel aligned. It's because that is actually what pure love truly feels like, is nature. And it's oh my God, yes, we need more tree. We need to get back to nature, because when you get back to nature, it reminds you, oh, this is what love feels like. This is what love feels like. Now, people who really do feel love for their partners and for their children actually will go, oh yeah, that's the same feeling. Being around people you love is equivalent to being in nature when it's pure. If it's not pure, it's going to feel less and less like nature and more like consumption. So people are not aware of the difference between consumption and pure love. Pure fear is literally a black hole. Pure love is the birth of a universe. It's absolutely gorgeous. And because we're talking physics, we're talking force, and it's just a force and a not a force. And that's it. It's just not a force. And this is where the human mind, this is where we really struggle. We require that placeholder. So this is, by the way, this is for my Triad Killing Part 4. This is where I get into my philosophy, metaphysics, ontology. This is really deep fucking shit. This is unified theory. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. I am I have so much to say on this. This is one of my favorite topics, and I'm going to be doing a lot on this particular topic. So it's just absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much. I lost my video here because I've been like writing it all down and documenting it. So thank you so much. If you want the next action in this chain reaction, click on the link below. Thank you so much, and may the kindest of words always find you.